Hey, welcome to another episode of what is this, Leo?
Creator Fury.
Leo and Aaron, we are Creator Fury. We are doing this weekly episode podcast to help you as a business owner have tidbits and hacks and information that will help you in your promo or marketing videos for your business. And just as a way of lead in, we're starting off with our check-in with Leo. What was this week all about for you?
All about for me. Let me see. I am working on a screenplay, which actually a screenplay was completed about 3 years ago with me and two partners on this. And of course, I've written a bunch of stuff of my own, but this is the one I wrote with people, which is not my best suit, which you have to deal. It's hard to deal with more than one person who are involved in a project. And it seems like every time we get somebody interested in the project, we get different feedback from them. Like, oh, okay, we like your project. No, sorry. We love your project, but you change this one thing that
Everything about
affects.
it needs to change.
Yes. Can you change this
Is
one
that
thing that affects the entire story? So that's what we've been dealing with this week is like, we love your story, but can you change one thing? And
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
tough thing.
and there's
So
a
it's
lot of
like,
layers involved. There's, because these people wanna pitch to there's a very famous person who wants to play the lead, and they wanna pitch it to a very famous company. So we're working with them and helping them with the sizzle reel, which is very creative. You know what a sizzle reel is? For those who don't know,
right.
sizzle reel, you kinda cut together a fake trailer using different movies that are similar to yours, and tell the story within 30, 40. I think our sizzle reel is like 36 seconds.
Go to my sizzle reel, fireflyfilms.com.
There you go. And, so this week I was working on that besides all the paid work. This is not paid work because we were part of the pitching
Mhm.
process. So I was working on that and getting that sizzle reel off the ground. And now we need this big star to record the voiceover, to replace the current voiceover we have in there. So it wasn't much work. It's just getting this star inside the sizzle reel, and then now waiting for for the voiceover to come back, and that'll be my one of my things that I did this week, um, in
Does
helping my
so
career.
so move the needle a little bit on this project, right?
Yes, yes, we got to rush because I think they're pitching mid-December.
Oof,
So we
that's
sort of got to
around the corner.
Yeah, there's not enough
Eh,
time to restructure the entire screenplay. There's not enough time for that. That'll take months. But we need to put out a new treatment,
okay.
based on the new notes. And the treatment, for
Well,
those who don't know, it's like a 2 to 3 page story of the entire movie.
mhm.
And maybe it'll be a 1 page. When you're dealing with pitching to executive, you got to keep it simple. You got to keep it,
Right.
I mean, this whole thing with the log line, or what they call the elevator pitch. Quick, tell me a movie in 2 lines. It's Jaws in space. Aliens, right?
Laser cat with laser cats.
Yeah, Jaws in
So,
space. Well, I'm saying, like, aliens, alien is Jaws in space, so you kinda wanna sort of minimize that way.
I wonder if executives have fears of elevators just because of the 30-second pitch that they inevitably will get.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of horror films that take place in elevators, made to
Hey,
do with that.
here's a
Yeah,
good 30-second pitch.
yeah.
Reality.
So,
Oh.
I was gonna talk about something else, but I'll save it for next week, because now
Oh,
we're
okay.
yeah, I'll save it for next week. Hopefully that thing's not here next week, but if it is, I'm
Oh,
kinda pissed off about it
mystery.
because
Hey,
yeah, there's a mystery, literally a
we're
mystery
we're doing a
box.
challenge this week, and anybody who answers what is below the frame in Leo's office.
Yeah, we'll discuss it next week. Hopefully, it won't be here, but, I'll still talk about it next week because it's kind of a weird thing that happened to me at my local, internet provider. Anyway, Aaron, so we come to the segment. Oh,
Intriguing. All right. So, hey,
what do you have to,
we'll talk
contribute
about
to
the
this
news.
week?
Well, this week for me was pretty much the same. I'm pitching my business, trying to do more
You had a
work.
lot of meetings, you had a lot of meetings this week.
I did. I had several meetings which were very, hopeful. A lot of time that now it's the waiting game. So
It's the end of the
we're
year too. It's tough because
yeah,
it's the end of
and
the
this is
year,
this
and
is a
everybody's
tough time for to get business on board. But I have a couple of people who are middle bit of
yeah,
the fish hook. Um, so we're talking in January. We'll probably have more beautiful news
yeah.
about that stuff.
Because I'm working
But
on a corporate video, and I was told, "Oh, they'll get back to us in January." I'm like, "We have a," they had a deadline, "Oh, we have to finish in 2 weeks," and now it's like, "Oh, yeah, in January, they'll get back to us with notes." So,
yeah, I get
politics.
it. Absolutely. All right. So this week in the news, this has actually been a very turbulent. Yeah. Dun dun dun. Creative Fury news.
Winning news flash.
We this has been a very turbulent year. So this week, and like many companies are taking a look back on the year, but this week in itself has been indicative of what has been going on. We obviously we had the Omnicom-IPG merger, which finished up at the end of November, but they're still rolling out all of the problems that has sort of created. And it was a big deal. Now they're like we said before, it's the largest advertising agency in the world and in history, actually. And it was a big deal. $13.5 billion on the table for that one. And then we just recently had the Netflix announcement that they're going to take over Warner Brothers, and that was $83 billion. Days after that, how everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, what's this going to mean for streaming?" And da da da. Days later, Paramount weighs in on this and does a hostile takeover of $108 billion. So I'm not going to go into all the details of what all that means and stuff, but basically, that's like in essence, if a murderer is being sentenced at trial, and they say, if any last words before we pronounce your sentencing, they say, "Oh, by the way, there's another murder that I was involved with, but we didn't talk about." Everybody has to do a reset and go back to their table, and sentencing is postponed. So we don't know what all these deals are going to
Yeah,
present
I
for
think
everybody.
yeah, it is bad for the industry in the way that it minimizes our options, you know, because corporations all have they all gotta have this motto, they all have this vision that they create stuff under, right? So Netflix has their own way of creating stuff and distributing stuff, and Warner Brothers has their own way of creating stuff and distributing stuff. So if somebody takes over the other one, now you only have one vision, because we're used to having multiple visions because that's what makes art, fluid and creative and diverse. If you only have one vision controlling a mass portion of the market, we're not going to get diverse uh, projects and properties. And competition is healthy for that. Competition
Yeah,
is healthy
absolutely.
for pushing creative people and business people to make bigger,
Absolutely.
better things. And that's
Yeah.
one thing we're losing is that.
And I think that in that vein, that's where most of the fear of AI is. It's sort of pushing aside all that creative power and individuality and essence. Um, but yeah, I mean, there was also a worry that like now, theaters are going to kind of go away, and they already have in a in some instances. But and I
Right,
think
but, if they wanted to keep theaters going, they will come up with different ways to keep theaters going. Same thing happened
yeah,
in the '50s with television. They said, "Oh, well, theaters are dead because of television." Then the '80s, we have VHS, and like, "Oh, theater is dead because of VHS." But theater
that's
reinvents
that
itself,
song.
the
Yeah.
industry reinvents itself, they look for different ways. The fear now is with Netflix, they're a streaming service, and they hardly do any theatrical distribution. So that will kill more of the theatrical industry, even though they came back and said, "Oh, no, no, we want to get into theatrical game." I don't know. That's what they're saying.
Pre-deal
Hopefully soon.
promises are always, I don't about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So that's where we are right now. That's why it's such a such a crucial deal.
Yeah.
You know.
And then on top of all this, Disney announced for $1 billion. Still a lot of money. I mean, yeah, the thought of $1 billion and then hundreds of billions of dollars is just mind blowing. I mean, just to give it like a framework, you could talk about okay, 100,000 seconds is
Mm.
a lot of seconds. That's about 28 days, almost a month. Okay, we can wrap our heads around that. 1 million seconds is about 9 months, but then you get into 1 billion, that's almost 32 years. It's like,
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
we're lucky, if in our lifetime we'll see, 3 billion seconds.
Yeah.
Uh, and we're talking
Especially
like
now,
billions.
we
Just
always talk about
mind blowing.
healthcare costs going up and the government removing some of the healthcare safeties we had, financial safeties. You think the population of the United States, because we're Americans, we're here. This is our health system. It's what 200 million people, and it's costing a individual person maybe 10 to 20 grand a year. That's about what
That's,
$2 billion. That two
yeah.
billion dollars could give everybody free healthcare. You know,
Well,
you know,
and this just in the Senate.
yeah.
Uh,
Pay for your own healthcare. Yeah,
that's
I
right.
mean, I mean, we're dealing with numbers. We're doing just numbers, and again, we're not in politics. We don't know how it happens. But getting back to AI, you mentioned AI. Now,
Yeah, yeah, the
different
Disney.
states, different states are passing laws to control AI. Now, there's a difference between AI used in the entertainment industry, right? It's used as a tool to enhance or speed things up. Not necessarily to create. You cannot really create original stuff from AI. AI just copies, right? But you can
True.
use AI like the short that I did. I use AI to create the bird and all that. You can go watch our first episode about that.
Mhm.
And AI becomes a tool in helping you create something that's already written down, that's already planned out, and now it becomes a tool. Now, AI is hurtful when people use it to create false images and to invade people's privacy, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
certain states like New York, Florida, which is a Republican state, and California are among the states that have passed laws to regulate AI, to regulate how people are using AI in hurtful ways. But the president just signed a veto to override that because there's a lot of money involved in these industries. They're kind of like, Meta. They use a lot of
Mhm, mhm.
AI to renew information and to create stuff
Yeah,
for their
yeah.
platform. So it's a big
It's a big
sandwich. It's a big sandwich, you know,
I was just watching
poop
a
emoji
demo
sandwich.
from a
Yeah.
company that is providing templates for business owners, for people who are looking to create ads, and they have a bunch of templates where you just go, "Okay, if you have a soft drink, you can use this template," and then you just throw in your own script. You can even record your own voice, and it'll adjust it according to whatever you want. And then you can even get down deep and edit some of the scenes and stuff, but it's a pretty advanced system. It's still, to me, it's not perfect, but for, in some instances, for a low budget situation, it would really, really work. It's effective. Um, you
Which
know,
brings us to today's subject, which is about that. It's about
being
how
effective. Yeah.
how do you create something for your business that's gonna stand out? And using a template like that is not gonna help you stand out. It's a great way to start, you know? If you don't have the money or you don't have the creative people involved with you, or you can afford to hire creative people like us to work on your project, to help you create your project, sure, you go here, but then if you're a coffee shop, you go, "Oh, let me see, what can I use?" Again, to use the coffee shop, but it seems it comes up a lot. You're a coffee shop, "What can I use in this template that's gonna, give me an ad?" But every other coffee shop owner is using the same template because they know that there can't be that many templates that are gonna help a coffee shop, you know? So you gotta come up with something that's different,
Right,
right?
right. And last week we talked about uh, pain points, which are good identifiers to help you with your hook, with what would help you stand out. But you don't want to address those pain points. You want to talk more about your business, maybe your history, or or the story that is your
Mhm.
business. So,
You wanna make it
so
fun, you wanna make it attractive, you wanna stand out, and, it's like a lot of people use now, influencers, right? Especially when it comes to products, like an influencer, "Yeah, here's the pills I'm taking for my current terrible cold," and they go, "Oh, I'm taking these, and these work great. These are the best pills I've ever had." So your influencer does that, right? You pay them or you give them free service or free product, and they all kinda do the same thing, you
Leo's
know?
an affiliate for those pills.
Yeah, man. I've been getting it for free. So you got any, please hook me up. No, uh, so how do you stand out from the current crowd, which is influencers doing their thing? Influencers just holding up a product, pointing to it, looking all pretty, both men and women, and just
Hmm.
putting on makeup. How
And who doesn't want
how do
to
you stand
be
out? How do you not
pretty?
get lost? How do you not get lost in that sea of everybody doing the same thing? You
True.
know? And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
So
That's when it comes up to, like, you need to personalize your service, personalize your product, make it put your own DNA into it,
exactly.
and like you said, find the hook, right?
Yeah. And we were talking the other day about, so sometimes I've seen with business owners, they'll have a product that is identical to another company's product, and theirs is by all intents and purposes better. Um, but why is the other company getting all the sales, getting all the business? And like, I'm putting out the videos, and when you look at those videos, they're more how-to videos, which are nice and helpful, but they're not what the company's all about. They're not about you, the business owner. They're not about engaging them. It's just like, oh, this is the product. This is how you use it. Push this button here, or whatever it is. Um, and there's no connection, and
Right,
that's what we're talking about.
y-
That hook.
right. We kind of want to show the consumer or the dramatized consumer on camera using the product and getting a good result from it. Like, for instance, insurance companies. Insurance companies have tons of different companies have tons of ads out there. Two that stand out for me are, like, was it State Farm and
Yeah. Yep.
Progressive, right? They both have their own little hook on it. State Farm, they both wear their T-shirts. State Farm is red, Progressive is white. White logo, blue logo, and they'll have their quirky employees who pop out of nowhere, and have some sort of, like, tete-a-tete with the consumer. "Oh, but with our company, you get this and that," and you just remember the name, you remember that the consumers is happy, and you remember that you laughed a little bit, whatever. So that's the hook those companies are using, but again, it's always they're almost copying each other, you know? How do you stand
Right.
out?
So talk to us a little bit about, like, okay, so sometimes I remember a commercial and it was so funny, it was so hilarious, but and then someone asked me, "Well, what was it for?" And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Uh, I don't remember."
right. I don't wanna mention a product, but this is ad that runs on YouTube all the time. Every time I listen to a podcast in the background, while I'm working, whatever, this product comes up, and I have no idea what it is. It's just to show the product and talk about, "We can help you," whatever. I have no idea what they do. It is just like they show the product, and it pops up a lot of times in a lot of different ads, and I mean, a lot of different shows. I have no idea what this product does. There's no hook to it. It's just they show the product and they talk about the product, but they don't say what it is, you know?
There was an old, Simpsons episode, and I don't remember the entire episode, but, the beginning of it, they were watching television, and then all of a sudden, in the middle, at the commercial break, it was just this thing, blammo, 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 with colors and flashes, and then it went back to the show, and Homer Simpson was like, "Ooh,
Memo.
blammo."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if our older viewers will remember the show called Max Headroom, right? It started off as in British MTV, he was like supposed to be a digital host, basically an AI host, but it's actually somebody in makeup, and they kind of shot him and sped him up, to make it look like it was a robot, what have you. It's a Canadian actor, and then they made a TV show out of it, And then
Right.
Across Hollywood had to make a TV show out of it. And it was like, this guy lives inside a computer, and he was kind of like a superhero inside a computer, but it's Max Headroom. And they had one episode where someone was making these commercials that lasted like 3 seconds. They're called blips, and they just shot this formation at you for 3 seconds, and people going crazy watch these commercials because there's just too much information for them, but they will buy the products,
Right.
the called blips. And that's what we are now. I mean, I worked on commercials that lasted 6 seconds. Just in October, I was working on a lot of political campaigns, and we cut both minute commercials, 30-second commercials, and even 15-second commercials and 6-second commercials, because it's stuff that appears on YouTube or appears on different social platforms. But we're at that point where like people, they'll skip through some commercials. You get to the point you hit skip or you stop playing the video. But if you do 6 seconds, they go, oh, it's only 6 seconds. I'll stick around, and they get the
Right.
message out.
Right.
And we're living in the blip world right now.
Many years ago,
And sorry, and do they work? And maybe it does work.
yeah,
The message gets out there. If you have a product, or you have a service, you do the 6-second commercials, you pay to put them on several platforms, and you get your message out there. So it does work in a way.
right, right. And then in those 6 seconds, it's not a one-time deal. It's multiple times across multiple platforms so that, you keep getting it.
Yeah.
Otherwise that 6 seconds would be lost.
It falls into your algorithm. I mean, if it's something that you want to see, that your algorithm says that you enjoy, or that's in, like when it comes to political commercials, the stuff that's in your area or your city
Mhm.
or your state, what have you, so it will get to you.
What was really funny is I was working on some pharmaceutical stuff, and I figured because I would be checking my socials for
Mm.
those ads and stuff, but they never popped up in my feed. And I guess it
Mm.
was just like, he is definitely not our target audience. But, it was like,
Well,
but I should have been because I kept on, searching for these things. So,
I worked on here in New York City. I worked on political commercials for local people running, and they will pop up on my feed all the time, and I wouldn't skip them. I can't skip it. I got to make sure that they get their view. Now,
so talk,
getting
to
back
us
to
about like, yeah, the hook and what
hook, yeah,
certain type of gimmick,
right.
or I shouldn't say gimmick, but a certain angle.
Right. What's the gimmicks, hooks, right? And one thing I wanted to bring up was a famous anti-ad. For those people who don't know what an anti-ad is, it's a way to get your message out there by making fun of your ad. Now, I had mentioned to Aaron off camera that I be getting these commercials for a certain mushroom drink, right? And they stopped showing them this week, but they were playing for the last 2 weeks. And they kind of say, oh, don't drink this, because if you drink this, you're gonna lose weight. you know, you're gonna feel healthier. You you're gonna wanna go around and jog in the park, So it sort of had like this anti-ad uh, a message in that, don't take our product because it's good for you, you know.
Mhm.
And this goes back to, if I can share my screen here, it
Yeah.
goes back to something that happened many years ago in the 1950s. 1959, you guys are aware of this car. It's called the Volkswagen, right? It's a German car, and they were
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen, yeah, and it was the first anti-ad on record, and what they did is that they called their product a lemon. Now, if you know what a lemon is when it comes to a car, lemon means that it's no good, it's just lying there.
Yeah.
It's dead fruit, right? And
It
if
might
you
look
read the
good and then drive it off the lot, and then everything falls apart.
Right, and if you read the ad, let me see if I can zoom in on the ad here. Um, Oops. It says, I'll just read a little bit of it. This Volkswagen missed the boot. The chrome strip on the glove compartment is blemished and must be replaced. Chances are you wouldn't have noticed it. Inspector Kurt Kroner did. So the whole thing goes on and on about how this car was ready to go to the lot for sale, but our inspector noticed that the wheels were unaligned and the windshield was cracked. So we're not going to sell you this lemon, but what we will sell you is a perfect car. See? So it's like they hook you in by by calling their product a lemon. But once you're into it, when people used to read, people don't read anymore, Now you
That's
need,
why it's video only.
right. Now, right. So this imprint may not work these days because
Yeah.
people are not going to read it. But now, 66 years later, you make a video of this, right? And you make it funny, and it hooks your audience. So this is the
Yeah.
first example of an anti-ad. And then you go throughout history. Okay, I'll stop sharing now. I'm going to switch cameras. Um, you go throughout history, there's been other instances of famous anti-ad campaigns, like Joe Isuzu. Remember Joe Isuzu in the, I guess it was the late 80s, early 90s, where it
Yeah.
was for
Yeah.
Isuzu car, which was a Japanese car model. And they had this
I wonder if I
guy who
can
was like,
find that. Let me see.
they had this character played by, an actor called Joe Isuzu, who was a big liar. And he would tell you all these lies about their car. Oh, the Isuzu can drive up a wall, what have you, And again, it wasn't telling you the truth about the car, but it was still putting the car in Front Street for you, and I'm sure Isuzu sales went through the roof.
Yeah. Let
Uh,
me see if I can share this real
and you
quick.
stand out. Remember, Japanese cars are a huge, huge deal back in the 80s. They still are, but in the 80s, that's when they went from being lemons to being actual, oh, there you go.
Yeah. Let's see.
Very famous
I'll
product.
play. I'll play this. It's 6 minutes. I'm not gonna play all of them.
Yeah, we probably won't be able to hear it, but this is
How
old.
fast is the new Isuzu
I
Impulse
hear that,
Turbo?
yeah.
How does 950 miles per hour sound?
Yeah. 950 miles per hour, total lie, Very funny guy. Yeah. He takes his time to go on the cones. Yeah. Yeah. And these cars then took off, and people used to like customize these cars and put spoilers on them and racing, street racing and all that. And he catches it in his mouth, right? He caught it in his mouth, something like
The
that.
Impulse Turbo. Faster than a
Yeah,
speedy...
I still remember this.
Well, you know.
And it was a huge campaign. It was all over the place. It was so famous. And I'm sure the sales went up, you know.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
you get the name brand in your head, So advertising
Exactly.
does work, but it
Yeah.
works when you can get to the customers in a way. And now we're talking about advertising on social media, especially for a growing company, You make your small video, you make it quirky, you put a hook on it, you get it to the algorithm, to the people who are gonna buy your product, and you got something there, but you gotta spend the money. You gotta spend the money. You gotta make the product, and then you gotta advertise the product, you know?
Right. Right.
Just put it on YouTube or putting it on your channel isn't
But if
enough.
you're,
You have to.
if you're you don't always have to have a physical product. It could be a service or a
Oh,
digital
yeah, yeah.
product or whatever.
But
Um.
but it takes getting it out there. You gotta get the eyeballs on it,
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, you
And
got any
that's
example?
what we do. We figure out, where is your audience, and that's
Right.
that's
And
a whole another episode. Where is your
yeah.
audience?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who is your audience? What is your product?
So, in a certain takeaway on this, what could a business owner glean from, what's my hook? You know?
Right. It's a personality. It's the 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 DNA of your product or service, you know? And knowing who your consumer is so you can portray them in a flattering way, and you can make fun of yourself if you wanna go anti-ad style, or, if you have, again, coffee house, right? You may have a high-end coffee house where everybody's in suit and ties, and they're serving the latest, European cocktail of coffee, what have you. Or you have something more down to earth, something more granola, a little more hippie-esque, a little more Seattle, and that's a total different vibe that you want to portray of your product. Because niche is the way to go. You wanna make sure you focus in on your audience or your core customers, and they're gonna be a certain way because people are attracted to certain things differently, right? So once
Yeah.
you st and And can you be four-quadrant? Sure. You can have a very wide scope, but on the internet, you can focus in on certain individuals. And you have a four-quadrant product, you can have ads for different people. You can have, all right, this ad I'll
Absolutely.
focus to senior citizens. This ad I'll focus towards preteens. This ad I'll focus towards, college age people, So you
And
kind
by
of
doing that, you're
target
not
out.
excluding anybody. You're just focusing, you're just bringing forward that character, that, uh, you know, target
Especially the way
audience.
the algorithm works. The algorithm's gonna get you, algorithm's gonna it can help you or hinder you. So you gotta work the algorithm. You gotta get your product to a certain audience and to make sure it plays there, A four-quadrant spot, you're gonna spend a lot of money, you know, because you have a very wide field to cover. So, but if you have a certain ads focus on certain quadrants, then you get more bang for your buck, you know?
Right. But the whole purpose of, understanding, you got to spend a lot of money. You will because it's going to be effective and engaging. You're going to see 1,000 times what you were putting into it. So don't always think of the money that you have to spend in order to get this thing done as an investment in you, in your business, and
But you can be frugal about it.
the
You can be
growth.
frugal about it and start with maybe one niche. Okay, I know I have a
Yeah.
four-quadrant product, so let me focus in on my highest. I know about my sales, who are the people who come into the store more. Okay, I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
focus this one on that top group. So I'm gonna make an ad, and I'm gonna make a campaign and I'm gonna spend the money in social media on that particular group and see how that works out. Once that builds up, okay, now I'll focus on my second highest group of customers and hit them with that, you know? And that way you won't be spending all tons amount of money in one shot,
True.
but you'll be focusing your your creativity, you're focusing your media campaign and the money you have set aside for advertising on that particular niche, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's not an all in, all of your money right now, ever kind of situation. It's always, and sometimes it's a learning curve. Like, you'll do one set of campaigns and they are only average effective. And then another set and it just goes over the roof. So, you'll understand where you need to lean into for your business.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
we can another time we'll talk about failed campaigns
oh yeah,
from
I
big
I
brands.
had so much I wanted to talk about with this,
But we'll save it for the
looking
next
at the
time.
year back, and all that, but we can do that next week.
We can do it next week. Probably focus on failed campaigns and maybe why they failed or mistakes they made. And we're talking about huge brands that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we
We
researched
were
this week that we thought of covering, but we can cover next week. And they've lost a lot of money because,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely. And we can show you other because we are going to talk about branding a little bit, right? And then and basically there was some logo changes and stuff, and some companies were very effective, and we'll talk about that in the next
yeah, I
episode.
think
But
this own show because that's kind of a downer. Uh, and there's so many samples that come to mind. I mean,
yeah,
recently had something right. Maybe we would have mentioned it now. That was a big deal. So we can bring that up next week and maybe
mhm.
further go down a deep rabbit hole of
And hopefully
fails
your
and
mystery product there will
that's a
maybe
that's a
segue
fail.
into
I'm telling you,
that.
it's a fail. That product is such a fail. But if you, as a consumer, as a creator, as a as a business owner, have any samples of good
Oh,
campaigns, because today we're covering good
please.
campaigns, please share them below,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
anti-ads, funny hooks, anything of that nature. You
Yeah.
know,
We'd love to discuss it. We'd love to, feature you in an episode. So yeah, please contact us and comment below.
and if
Again,
you are a business owner who needs help with their advertising campaign, no matter how big or small, reach out to us. We can give you a free one-on-one, discussion. We can do it off camera, we can do it on camera, and see how we can help you.
And if you're local, we can even visit your business and talk to you about all of the different aspects or potential that your business has for video. So
If you didn't,
and
in the Northeast tri-state area,
if we can come
Pennsylvania,
to you
New
directly.
Jersey,
But also,
Connecticut,
if you're not
New York.
local, we can do Zoom calls as well. It's not a problem.
That's a tetra. That's not a tri-state. It's a tetra-state. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York. That's 4.
That's true. Yeah.
Can we
Pennsylvania.
do Pennsylvania? Can we do Pennsylvania?
I'd even go to Idaho.
All right, Idaho.
Idaho,
Kentucky.
yay.
What's a
We don't want to leave anybody
the
out.
Pentastate area.
Hawaii, you're on our list. So, yeah. Or
I have
anywhere
family
in
in
the
Florida.
world.
We can do Florida. I have family in Florida, so I have a place to stay.
Oh.
You have family in Minnesota and in California.
Actually, if you threw a dart at the map, I have family in most of.
You hit a Sherman.
Yeah.
Throw a dart, hit a Sherman.
Woo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that
right.
high note, we thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment below. We'll see you in the next Creator Fury.